Over the past weekend, you may have seen some pretty big news. You see, Gloomhaven has been the top spot on BGG for like 5 some years, and it was finally dethroned by Brass Birmingham. This was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see. A lot of people were super hyped and excited about it because, Gloomhaven's, like I said, been up there for a long time. Before that, it was Pandemic Legacy Season 1, and before that, I don't really remember. That was so long ago that I don't really remember at this point. And for me personally, I don't really care about BGG's top lists. I know a lot of people do. They like to see what's up there, and that's pretty important. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I've never really cared about the list. So I didn't pay too close attention to it until it kept popping up my social media feed. I'm sure if you were on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you saw this pop up. And like I said, it was kind of big news for it to happen. But now, if you go to the website as of February 19th at night, Gloomhaven took the top spot back. Right, it took the top spot back, and it's kind of weird to see that they're bouncing back and forth like this. That it's already happened, or that they already switched back, right? And when you go into the ratings for Gloomhaven, look at just the 10 ratings, you can start to see why. In the month of February, you're going to see a lot of people have suddenly found this game and suddenly decided to vote for this game as a 10, right? Randomly, with 19 days into the month, or they just forgot to do it before, all of a sudden people voted for this game. And I don't want to just pick on Gloomhaven here because this isn't the only side of it, and I'll show the rest in a second, but I just want to show you that we are on page 6, so 600 now votes of just all happening February 2023. Now, if you go to the ones, oops, I go back up to the top. All right, so this is all the ones that have now been voted for Gloomhaven. And as you can see, it goes on there's the second page, where 200 votes. And then the third page, it makes it a little bit ways down, and then we get into like January and December. Now, if you go to the brass side of things for just the 10 votes, once again, this is what you see. The first page, it will be all February 2023. We could skip ahead to like, let's say page 4, because it's going to be more of the same, where it's just February 2023. And the fifth page. So we're getting up to now 500, 600 some people have now learned about Brass Birmingham in the last 19 days. And you can go to the one votes, and the one votes aren't as bad on this page. And I think it only goes to the second page. Yeah, barely on the second page. And that's it. And now you can also see on Frosthaven, to be fair, the game did just come out, so I'm willing to give it a break. But there's a lot of votes all of a sudden happening this month of Frosthaven, but it did just come out, so whatever. So why am I talking about this? Why is this a big deal? You just said D20, you don't even care about this. And the thing is, I don't really care about this, but a lot of people do, right? A lot of people that make purchasing decisions will do realistically one of three things, right? They will go to either their local store / social media accounts / people they trust and ask them for their opinion, right? What games have you been playing? What have you been seeing? What do you like? And they'll ask for recommendations. The other way is they'll go to the hotness side, and that's how they'll check out new games, because they're the type of person that likes to like back, Kickstarter games, which this is a whole area of controversy that really needs to be talked about, with basically just buy your way onto here for the most part. It's not worth getting into this video, but I do think it's worth a further discussion at some point of this system. But this system, right, is the other way people look at games, and they look at the top lists out there and they just go through and they say, oh, this looks interesting, this looks interesting, this looks interesting, this doesn't, and they work their way down the games, and it creates this kingmaker system, right? That once you start getting on the list and get like you keep your marketing push and you keep it fresh in front of people's eyes, and you work with content creators, or you work with streamers or whomever, you could slowly keep going up the ranks. Unless you have a bunch of people that are truly devoted to your game that are willing to create a lot of accounts, or multiple accounts, or accounts for their friends, or whatever else. And realistically, that's what's been happening for Gloomhaven and Brass. Now, do I have hard, solid proof of this? No, probably not. It could just be coincidence that all of a sudden everyone started voting this past 19 days. It's theoretically possible. It's highly doubtful, but it's possible. But again, the problem is, why are you making a big deal about this? Like I said, this is one of the ways people purchase games. So now people are willing to spend, and you can look by my head, the prices of these games aren't exactly cheap. People are willing to put down real money, right? Real money that they worked pretty darn hard for, where now they're buying a game because you may have a parasocial relationship with it, and you want your game to be number one because it can't be number two, or you want your number two game to be number one because it just can't be number two, or you just hate the number one game that much, or vice versa, that now you're influencing people's buying decisions. And I don't think that's right. Right? I think we as as ambassadors of this industry, as board gamers, we shouldn't do this to our fellow gamers, right? We more or less are tricking people into the games that we want them to buy because we really like this game. So we want you to spend your money. So I'm going to create a bunch of accounts to kind of get this like pushed up further on the list. That's wrong. That's not right to do. And there's nothing wrong with you saying, hey, I personally will vote for this game, make my one account, and shout out to the high heavens. That's cool. Do your thing. But if you're creating multiple accounts, which is really easy to do on Board Game Geek, you're part of the problem, and you should not be doing this. And you need to take like a hard look at yourself of doing this, because that's not the right thing to do. And that brings up the second problem with this. Besides us, that we should take personal accountability, Board Game Geek needs to step things up here. Board Game Geek makes it way too easy to create multiple accounts. I just have to create a different email address, which is really easy to do. I have a bunch of personal email addresses. I could create an account for each one, keep voting for the games I enjoy, and rinse and repeat. And that's not right. It shouldn't be that easy. And Board Game Geek should put something in place to stop this, because even the board game companies care about this, right? I'm in a bunch of Discords with a bunch of different companies that will talk about how excited they are that, oh, we moved up to spot, I don't know, 50 or 40 or whatever. And they celebrate that stuff. But I'm sure they wouldn't be that thrilled to find out, oh, the numbers are being shifted and the stats are being juked because some diehard fans or some people that really hate our company are just voting a bunch of ones, right? And not giving us realistic stats to base off of. This is important stuff to publishers whose, you know, this is their livelihood. This is really important to them as a passion project, or you know, like I said, to employ a bunch of people and a whole team of people. So Board Game Geek, I really think needs to step up and make some changes. Do verify phone numbers or something. I don't know if that's the best system or not, but something needs to happen. Something needs to change, because this is insane. This is insane that stuff like this can happen. And also, the onus is also on us as board gamers to, like, don't be that person, right? If you're sitting there creating 5-6 accounts, obviously if you make a mistake and you forgot you had an old account, it happens. But if you're creating 5, 6, 7, 10 accounts and like you're doing this, like, why? Why does it matter that much if your game's ranked 1 or 2? Like, honestly, why does it matter? It shouldn't. So anyway, I don't know if this is a thing that I'm blowing out of proportion and people don't agree with me on. If not, you know, let me know down in the comments. If you do agree with me on this, let me know down in the comments as well, because, you know, engagement helps. You know, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But yeah, this was just one of those things that it's kind of sad to see, because it feels like the #1 spot held by Gloomhaven for a long time was like a well-deserved earned spot. And now it just seems like fans are just going to keep it afloat because they're bored and they have time in their hands and they're just going to do that. Or brass fans are just going to vote down or vote brass up, or whatever the combination is. I don't really know what it is, but it stinks that that's what it's kind of come to now. And it doesn't really feel like a legitimate #1 anymore. And I'm sure, you know, the makers of Gloomhaven and people associated with the game don't want that as well. Now, don't quote me on that. Maybe they do, but I highly doubt it. I'm sure they want the game to, you know, succeed on its own merits. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and yeah, I'll see you all next time.